Well, we're just the guards.
Right.
We'll have to let you talk to someone else. I believe we can let them in. Ah. Just go up to the front desk, talk to Matilda, and see what she has for you.
I very appreciated.
So how are our marbles right now?
They are warmer. They're definitely warmer than they were this morning. They've gotten quite a bit warmer. They probably are not necessarily the hottest that you felt them yesterday, but they're getting there. They're getting closer.
No, guess we're going.
Yeah, unless when they were at their hottest yesterday, they weren't around here.
When they were at their hottest yesterday, they were a bit more east, a bit more west. Excuse me.
All right.
That's where we sent Octarion.
Yeah.
Yes.
Find the hot spot.
Okay. Yeah, well, have a look around here, see if we find anything.
Okay. So you go in and you start to. They kind of open those large doors that are made with. They are made with wood, but it was probably imported because it does not look like it was from here. There are not a lot of trees that size near Ox Rock. Probably got them from up around Milcian and the Wildwood or something like that. But those kind of open up.
Chitin.
What? Ooh.
Who, what, when, where?
From Ka. I mean, hello.
Okie dokie. You kind of open up, and immediately a warm air hits you because the rain had started to kind of cool things down. It kind of really started to stick to you and get to your bones with the coolness, because it was a cold rain that had started out as a drizzle, but came right on into its full effect and has been such for most of the day. And it took you a good part of the day, a good part of the morning to get to the Champions of Adventure Guild. Pretty well soaked, so that warmth coming out seems to really feel good. And a smell of cooking meats wafts out as you hear the sounds of fun. Quit playing around, man. You're distracting. All that motion. You hear the sounds of, well, an active guild, but different than Jalurie's used to. She's used to kind of a bar active guild type thing. Closer to what Jarrko or somebody like that, who has been around, at least in some fashion, to see like a military barracks kind of, but looser in its discipline, to a point to where people are comfortable enough to be addressing each other without the proper set of honorifics, but still with enough respect of like, hey, I'm in charge and you do what I say type thing. There are people going back and forth, not necessarily running, and it's a mix of all different types. You do see this is actually where you recognize one of the Minotaurs must have come from, because you see him again in here, and he's going off into the guild halls, looks to be mess hall area. It has high arching rib cages of whatever probably had those tusks outside that make its archway. And on the sides, it has things like their quest board for quests yet to be assigned and things like that. And as you come forward to the desk that is there, after that is a older looking, not necessarily middle-aged, but probably on the later side of middle-aged gnome. You can tell because she's got this kind of bleaching in her hair a bit, but it's still the majority of it quite pink on the right side and a vibrant green on the left. So you got a little bit of pink on this side and then a vibrant green across the center and the left with that streak of gray there in that right upper side, right crown side. And as she looks up, she goes, "Hello? Can I help you?"
Shakes off all the rain. Like a
Yeah,
dog.
Jalurie is prestidigitating her clothes dry.
And she looks up at you and she says, "Oh dear, could you take care of that?" Since you're
Cashew is
prestidigitating.
just sopping wet. No attempt to dry himself whatsoever.
"Oh, you're just a big boy, aren't you?"
It's accurate statement. Cashew is very large. Thank you for noticing.
Most people do say that, yes. You must be Matilda.
"Yes, I am Matilda."
That is great, because we were told to talk to you.
"Well, you were told to talk to the right person. What are we talking about?"
Right, so we are under contract to find a specific item. And we heard about your investigation that you're doing around the taverns here in Oxrock. And so...
"Oh, you did?"
Yeah, we did. So what we thought was that the two might be aligned. We have come to believe that this might be true. And we would like to gain some information on your investigation so that we perhaps can help you in kind.
"Oh, well, I suppose we can get into that idea. Now, what are you proposing is going to be exchanged? Are you just wanting information exchanged? Are we talking a split of profits, or what's happening here? Because that will affect who I'm directing you to."
I think we just want to find our item, so any help that you can give us in that regard. I don't think we are looking for a cut. I mean, a cut is always nice, but it's not our primary objective, I don't think.
"Well, let me see who I can get a hold of then." And she, "Just wait here. You can sit in one of the chairs. The snow yak chair is probably the best." And she kind of directs you to the chairs. She kind of walks away, and she says, "Oh, let me see. I think I gave it a wrong name." But she kind of directs you away to those chairs, and that's not what I'm looking for. Where'd it go? There's the handouts. She calls up another elf. Not elf. She calls up another... I know I gave you the wrong name now, because I'm remembering. She's not Matilda. Pardon me. I should have looked in my notes. Her name is... see? You gotta follow your own notes, people. Dagnabbit. I had it all done so I wouldn't have to think about it. Her name is... Dorothy, and she's got a nameplate on her desk that is put together with gold and ivory and like apparently she keeps it living somehow, some living greenery in a fern design, and her name is Dorothy Heatherguard Greenfern.
All right, how do you spell
Guild.
Dorothy in English?
D spell door, and then add TJE. Dorothy Heatherguard Greenfern Guildkeep.
That's quite the name.
Yeah. And she yells, Halfdane, dear. And he goes, and then you hear him talk for a minute. Of course, dear, of course. I'll come over and watch it. And he comes over and sits down creakily. Oh. He's also a gnome that has started to bald, and he has just the little ring around the head, but all of it is frizzed. And he's got it's frizzed, but he's got it guided backwards, so it looks kind of like like he's been running far too fast. But he hasn't. And he has two distinguishing streaks on the side.
He's got like a Mr. Fantastic thing going on.
Yeah, a balding Mr. Fantastic thing.
Yeah.
With dark purple hair instead of black.
Can't stretch away from male pattern baldness.
So she goes off and she starts looking around, and he kind of sits there and he kind of looks at y'all. So what are you doing here?
We're trying to get some help from the guild.
Yeah. That sounds about right. He looks around, kind of bored.
And
No,
you?
no.
And you?
Oh, I'm the head butler. I work here. That was my wife.
No. So you're just taking a break, I see.
Mm-hmm.
Awkward waiting room small talk.
Yeah. And that's kind of how it goes.
It's a good time to maybe jump cut over to Octarion.
Yeah, we can do that. So you guys are doing that. We jump cut over to Octarion.
Okay.
And Octarion, you continue to peruse the area. You make your way along, and Atulis comes back to you rather than to the others, because they went in the guild, and he didn't want to go in the guild. Guilds are stifling. So he goes over with you, and he says, I think I may have gotten my bearings. Where are you off to, Horse Lord?
Trying not to metagame, because I know this guy's terrible, and I should have killed him as fucking Aiden so long ago, but I didn't. I'm looking for something.
Right, that makes two of us. We are working together to find the things that we are looking for. So you probably find the thing you are looking for before I will find the thing I am looking for.
If I want to check, we're operating entirely on the fact that it's heat off the stone that determines where we're going, right?
Right.
Okay. So is it a deception check to as I'm moving and making small talk with this guy to be checking the stone?
If you don't want him to know about it, he technically knows about the stones already. Cashew told him, so.
Yeah, he does, but I don't want him to necessarily Well, no, that's still metagaming. I don't know what we're looking for, but we're supposed to follow this little stone here. And has it gotten any warmer the farther west I've gone away from the guild?
It has. You start to journey on, and you guys move along, and he doesn't really quiz you really heavy, because he kind of knows that you guys are doing stuff, finding stuff. So he's kind of along for the ride at the moment, though he does say that he's gotten his bearings now, and he kind of alludes to the idea that he might have some information when everybody's together, or if you just want to pry it out of him right now, of where the layout might be of where he would be looking. But all that said, you continue on, and again, you kind of go back and forth. You can feel when it starts to get cooler, so you start to go back the other way. And you guys start to go north to south with it, because you have the time now. You know where you're going. So you go north and you go south, and through this portion of exploration, you're able to pretty well pinpoint that it's right around a tavern named Frednell's Flagon that it gets the warmest. Like in that city block, there's no city block, but in that city block area of size is kind of where it gets the warmest for you.
Okay. I will go into the flag and make a perception check.
Okay. As you go into the flagon, you get the normal greeting from Frednell, who asks if you want something called a sandwich.
Oh, I do.
You do.
It's a 20 out of perception check.
You definitely see some stairs leading. Frednell's Flagon looks very, very much like a classic German-style tavern. There's some nice carvings in there. He seems to be very successful. He has Tifa, excuse me, working in there. He, as the barmaid, she's, starts to tend to you and Atulis as you go on. He's kind of schmoozes around, talks with her. He's charming, as he tends to be. The perception check gets you that this is probably a pretty busy place. You see several people come in with the same symbol of a phoenix. It's either clipped to their gear or it's clipped to their on a pendant or something like that. But it seems to be what you're recognizing as someone who's foreign. You're recognizing this as some kind of badge, and you glean that it's for a badge of honor or a badge of identification from the Champions of Adventure Guild. And so this seems to be one that they frequent quite a bit.
All right. Again, many regrets I didn't train stealth. I would like to, I think, after eating and paying and stuff, I'm gonna go outside and case the joint on foot and see where the stone doesn't resonate the most. Maybe climb the building if I think I could. Well, yeah, I get homeboys jumping up and down stuff. I probably can.
Yeah, it'd just be an acrobatics.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I'll do.
Acrobatics to jump up. It'd be an athletics to get up, to climb.
Okay.
Anyway, so you can do whichever you prefer, just like we did with Magpie.
Okay.
And you can do that. Tulis doesn't seem to follow you out. He seems occupied with the barmaid, so.
Okay. Okay. After going around the place, how does the stone react?
Going around it, and do you go ahead and go up and down, or do you just go around?
Not until I get information from around.
Around, it doesn't seem to change. It seems to be, it's very warm now. Not like hot burn your hand, but it's hot in the sense that this is the hottest you've felt it.
Okay. All right, we'll try an acrobatics check to go up. 23.
23. You are able to jump around and get on the first tier. This is a 2-story and then a small 3rd story. It's just at the very, very top, more like an attic. So you get up that high. It's really hard to tell if it's any less now than it was before, because you didn't move a whole lot in relative to what you've been moving.
Sure. Okay, next floor then, it's a 20.
20? That'll get you on it. Grab it. You do almost feel your fingers slip off the wet. So there is that to consider. But you're able to get up there. There's plenty of handholds.
Okay.
And you get up pretty much to the top of it. Maybe it's a little less. Maybe.
Okay. And that's all the way at the top, or is there still that one more floor?
No, that's at the top of the 3rd floor.
Okay. Okay. Is there some kind of check I could make to turn the maybe a little less into definitively a little less? Like a perception check, I guess?
Well, I mean, you do feel like it's a little less than it was. It's just very,
Okay.
very, very, like, minuscule, almost imperceptible. So, because
Okay.
you're not moving very far as compared to what you've been moving.
That's fair. Okay. All right. I will make my way back down to ground level. And I'll go back into the bar and I'd like to walk around inside it, see if I can find any more information that way.
Okay. Do you go back in to talk with people or just kind of feel the stone?
Mostly feeling the stone, but if somebody talks to me, enough small talk so they don't think that I'm just sketchily wandering around a bar trying to feel if my stone gets hot or not.
Well, I mean, okay. You walk through the bar, and you do get offered again a sandwich, if you will take it. It is said to be a bulite sandwich.
Okay, well, I did say I wanted the first one, so
Okay,
have
so
already
you get
eaten.
one. And it's very good. But it's kind of like the Philly cheesesteak, but with bulite meat. Aside from that, very good sandwich. You don't really get much hotter. It seems to be like here in this place somewhere, not up, but at least at this level or down would be the way to check next.
Okay. That's probably enough information to go get the rest of the party. I'll go get back on my horse and ride back to the guild hall.
Okie dokie. All right. So you go ahead and do that. Artulis would follow you, and we can cut back to everybody else. So, she does return, and you do eventually get to talk to someone who is kind of middle management in the guild, the assistant of, let me see, who would it be that got to see you? Fonzo would come down.
Fonzo?
Fonzo.
Bonzo.
A human man in robes. If anybody was guessing, you'd say some kind of mage, some kind of spellcaster of some kind. Unspecific on what type of spellcasting without checks, but some kind of spellcaster. He seems to be middle-aged for a human, and he is introduced as Fonzo Kelly. She was oh dear, this is Fonzo Kelly. He is one of the fingers of the hand of the Champions of Adventure Guild.
Very nice to meet you. A finger, you say?
Yes, there's 5 leaders in the Champions of Adventure Guild. Each one represents a finger on a hand. Or the current leader prefers a finger and a fist type things. Very physical man. Well, very physical orc.
It's a good onomatopoeia. That's good.
Yeah.
Is there anywhere we can speak in private then?
This rather kind of iconic. He does have the conical pointed hat that kind of bends back a little bit.
And the robe, it's got moons and stars on it and shit.
Kind of.
And he has
Very,
a wand
very
with just
Disney
one
Merlin.
big yellow star on it.
If you
Yep.
just unbutton it and cover himself in grease, you can look at the sexy wizard.
Well, his physicality probably couldn't pull that off. But
That's why we have transmutation.
People
People
too
are into all
wizardy.
types.
he says, I suppose that you can come up to my office. That's not his voice. I suppose that you can come up to my office. This way, please.
Thank
And
you.
he would lead you. He doesn't really wait for you to say thank you. He kind of turns and starts walking.
Yeah, I'm already forming a mental picture of him. He's real short. He's got a huge nose.
Sure.
Real
Something like that.
raggedy beard.
Well, he does seem to take pride in his appearance because he's got it trimmed down to a point.
Oh, okay.
And you can tell it's trimmed down to a point that it's not like grown that way. Like it doesn't naturally grow that way. He probably grows unevenly as most men
Yeah,
do.
there's some like mustache wax in there.
Yeah.
It's sculpted. It's
Definitely.
perhaps unnaturally rigid.
Very much so. He's unnaturally rigid. It almost comes out into that bottom of a crescent moon to match his moon on his the moon on his
The hair on top of his head and it comes up for the other crescent.
There you go.
Oh
I'll
yeah.
have a picture of Fonzo Kelly.
A fucking side character from a Banjo-Tooie game.
Yep. So he walks up with you, and you pass through the main guild hall itself. You go up and around, up some spiral stairs made of exquisitely carved ivory from bones that had probably been harvested from past kills. And you go into his office, which he has decorated in, it's not necessarily dark, but he doesn't have any windows in his office. He has apparently kept it very dark to work on what he works on. So you have go in there. He has to have it lit up with a lamp, which he has lit up at the moment. And it's not exactly Spartan-esque, but whatever's in there seems to have a purpose.
So he doesn't have like plastic moons and comets in the ceiling that is like glowing.
They
Well,
glow. Yeah, that are held up there with little adhesive tape.
He kind of does, but they're there for a purpose because what it looks like it's doing on his ceiling is that it's projecting the night sky, the stars as they run right now.
So it's his star
Oh.
chart.
Yeah, it's
Like
a
an
star
actual
chart.
star chart.
Yeah, but it's
So it's
plastic.
not fake.
No, it's not. It's not tacky, but it is on theme.
Right. There you go. As opposed to the sexy wizard, which embraces the tack. But anyway. So what do you want? He says as he sits in his high back chair with his kind of short self.
Feels like I'm repeating myself for the third time. We heard about your investigation. And
Oh yes, I was told what you
Right.
want there.
right.
I'm asking you,
Oh,
what do you really want?
we want to find a container, and we thought that your investigation information thing could be of use to us. So we thought that in turn we could help you perhaps and find whatever what you're looking for.
And why exactly should we help you?
Because we can help you in turn. It's like a
You?
symbiotic relationship.
You think? He says with a smirk and a bit of condescension. You think that some freelancers can just walk in to the Champions of Adventure and say, hey, look, we can help you, and expect to be relieved?
Jalurie will open the bag with the stone in it and sort of pull it out, set it on the table in front of him.
That's a pretty bubble.
It helps us
Why
find
is
this
it on the-
container.
It's very bright. Why is it on my desk?
Because that's how we're going to find the container. But if you can get us close enough, we can find it.
Oh, well.
We're trying to narrow the search area down, save time.
Well, you don't seem to need the guild to do that. Tell you what, girl, he says, and he picks it up and he plops it back into your bag. Why don't you just go play with your rocks? Let's the adults talk. And he turns back to the older looking individuals. Not even Cashew. He turns back to the dwarf.
I already told you. I already said what Cashew's doing.
Cashew is stuff
He's
touched.
violating his
Please don't touch that, big man.
No, I just stuck his hands in my pockets. And then the second
I can
he looks
see your
away.
hands out of your pockets.
Pockets. That's not. See, they're not. They're really big pockets. And sometimes my hands just fall out because the pockets are loose. You know how hands do that.
No.
Oh, you should get better hands then.
Right.
Dwarf.
So I think we already like showed you that we actually got in here and we got time with you. So I think that we're like halfway there already.
Oh, you think so?
So if you could tell us a little bit of what you're investigating, we could most likely be of help to you. But as long as we know nothing, there is nothing we can do.
Well, why don't you tell me what you're doing first, so that I can tell you if we can help you?
All right. So I
You're
told
looking
you.
for a box, a container, a thing.
Right.
Here. He reaches down, pulls out a little, like, box, like a little cedar box, plops it down in front of you. There's a container.
Yes, there are many containers in this room, in this town. We are aware. But we have these little bubbles that will let us know when we are closer to the desired container. So we need to find this very special container, and we have the means of doing it. It's just that we need it as soon as possible.
Very well. So you are saying that you have nothing to offer this guild in exchange for their help, because you have no idea what container you're looking for, and you have no idea what that container is going to be like. All you have is the little bubbles.
We have the bubbles, and we have the desire to help the communities of Oxrock, and I think that's what you're doing as well. And so we figured we could be of help to you by in some way. I mean, it is like I said, we know absolutely nothing. We know that you're investigating taverns, but that doesn't really tell us much of what you're looking for. But it does tell us that you're also on the lookout for something.
He sighs and says, "We are not investigating taverns. One of the fingers of the fist are currently playing at that, and the guild has no official connection, as far as I am concerned. So if that's what you are talking about, I can't tell you anything."
Is it the little finger? The pinky?
I mean, honestly, this kind of sounds less and less like an investigation and more like a pub crawl.
Then go have a pub crawl. I'm
No,
busy.
that's what it sounds like the pinky is having a pub crawl.
There's no assigned finger. It's just part of the.
I think.
I'm not going to discuss this. I'm not going to discuss the inner workings of the hand and how it's punched. Just we obviously are not concerning each other with what we are talking about. We have
Can you at least
nothing
tell
to
us who it is? Which finger? Who?
No, I'm pretty sure that he's the index finger. He has this, like, charisma of him. Like, he has a certain stature. And I think that the one he's talking about has to be like the pinky, like the black sheep.
He chuckles and says, "The Black Sheep is an apt name, considering it is the Night Lady who is investigating, and she is a drow noble. Or was, at one point. So less a black sheep and more of a purple worm."